Hello friends. So today we will discuss about the asexual reproduction in detail. I have already discussed about the two important types of reproduction and their differences in my previous class, that is sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction and difference between these two. So today we will discuss about asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction, as I have already told you, that it is the type of reproduction in which only a single parent is enough to produce offspring. So this is uniparental. Uniparental because the process of reproduction, this process of reproduction do not require male and female parents. Two different parents are not required. Clear? So it is called uniparental. Another thing is that as no two parents are required, that is why no fertilization occurs. No fertilization occurs, and as the fertilization is not there, so the gametes are not formed. So the gametes are not formed as the fertilization is absent and it is controlled. It is possible with a single parent. No two parents are required for asexual reproduction. Clear? So in asexual reproduction, another important thing we need to know is that from a single parent the offsprings are produced, and here the mixing of two different individuals, the characters of two different individuals is not possible. In case of sexual reproduction, what happens? Male donates half its chromosome and female donates half set of its chromosome, and combination of these two chromosomes from both the parents leads to the offsprings. But here, as a single parent is involved, the offspring which is produced is exactly equal to its parent because the DNA of the offspring is equivalent to that of its parent. So the parent and offsprings are having the same chromosome or genetic material. Their genetic material is same, having the same genetic material. That is why all the offsprings produced from the parent are said to be clones of one another because they look alike, their characters are similar, as they are the result of asexual reproduction. Clear? So in this case, the offsprings are clones of one another. They look equally, means they look equal with one another. Clear? So that is why they are called clones. Now another important term here, another important thing we need to note, that in case of asexual reproduction, the process is very simple. It is a very simple process, asexual reproduction. No complexities are there, and it is only seen in case of lower organisms or simple organisms. So in case of simple organisms, this type of reproduction is seen. Clear? It is absent in higher invertebrates and vertebrates. So we need to know that it is only seen in case of lower organism and it is absent in case of higher invertebrates and vertebrates because they have complex organization. So it is only found in simpler form of life. Remember, simpler form of life it is seen in. So what do we mean by simpler form of life? It is seen in case of protozoa, protozoans, poriferans and coelenterate. So what are the simple or the simpler form of life? Simpler form means we have the lower organisms like the protozoans, poriferans and coelenterate, and few other animals also included in this. So they are genetically the same genetic material, so they are genetically identical offsprings are produced in this process because they have the same DNA. Okay, so this is the basic idea about the asexual reproduction. Here no fertilization occurs, only a single parent is involved, gametes are not formed, and the offsprings produced are clones of the parent and the clones of one another because the genetic material is identical, genetic material of in all the cases are the same genetic material is seen. This asexual reproduction is seen in the simple or lower organism or simpler form of life and absent in higher vertebrates and invertebrates, means it is seen in case of protozoans, poriferans and coelenterate. Clear? So now we will move forward for the different types of asexual reproduction. This is the basic idea of asexual reproduction. Now we will discuss different types of asexual reproduction and in which organism the type is seen. So let's first discuss about the fission. So the types of asexual reproduction. In types of asexual reproduction, the first type that we are going to discuss is fission. Okay, so fission is again divided into two different types. It is the binary fission, and the other one is a multiple fission. So first we will go for the first type, that is the binary fission. It is common in single celled animals like bacteria and protozoans. So in case of bacteria and protozoans, the fission is seen. Clear? So we will take example of binary fission. To discuss about binary fission, we can take the example of the animals like amoeba, paramecium, euglena, etc. So in case of amoeba, paramecium and euglena, the type of asexual reproduction is fission and it is binary fission. So binary fission, in binary fission what happen? The parent divide into two daughter cells and they develop into new individuals. So in case of fission, the mother or the parent do not die and it remains inside the daughter cell or the offsprings. Means if you will take example of amoeba, this is one amoeba, this is the nucleus and the cytoplasm, as it is unicellular. So it is seen in case of unicellular organisms. So the amoeba when divides, it forms two offsprings. having separate nucleus and separate bodies. So as the offsprings are produced, after the production of the offsprings, the parent remain inside the daughters or the offsprings. That is why here in case of fission, the parent is immortal. It is said to be immortal, and immortal means it will not die. Why? Because the parent live inside the offsprings. So the parent never die and it survives inside the offspring. That is why in this case the parent is said to be immortal. Clear? So amoeba is example of the binary fission. Again, one more thing I want to tell here, that this binary fission is again divided into three different parts. So what are the three types of binary fission? The first one is simple. The simple binary fission is like this, like in the case of the amoeba. The next one is the transverse, and the third one is the longitudinal. So these are the three different types of binary fission. The simple binary fission, which is seen in case of amoeba. Transverse is seen in case of paramecium, and the longitudinal is seen in case of euglena. So the example of transverse binary fission is the paramecium, and the longitudinal is the euglena. So let's draw the diagram of these two, that is the transverse binary fission and the longitudinal. This one is the simple in case of amoeba. Now we will go for the second type, that is the transverse, which is seen in case of the paramecium. Okay, so the paramecium divides by transverse binary fission. The structure is like this. It forms a structure like the sleeper. Okay, this is the structure of the paramecium, and we know the paramecium is having the cilia. So the locomotory organ is cilia, which is present in the outside of its body, which helps in the locomotion in case of paramecium, and this is the oral groove through which it takes food inside. Okay, so this is a rough diagram of the paramecium having the nucleus, and it divides by transverse division, means it divides transversely. The animal becomes seen like this, which divide again further, it divide further to form two oral groups, and it divide from the center transversely, and it forms two different offsprings. So the division is like this. This is one offspring and this is another. Clear? So as a result of transverse binary fission, the two different animals, two different offsprings are produced, and these are the newly formed offsprings, and within these offsprings the parent remains alive. Likewise, the longitudinal type of the fission is seen in case of the euglena. So euglena, you can know, you have knowledge about the euglena. The euglena look like this, having a long flagella for its locomotion, and the nucleus is present centrally, located centrally. So here the longitudinal section, how it divides, it will divide like this. Okay, longitudinally. So the single nucleus divides and forms two different parts, and finally it divides through this and forms two different euglenias. Okay, so this is one euglena having its nucleus at the center. This is another offspring having its nucleus at the center. Clear? So this is the longitudinal type of the binary fission. Next we will discuss about the multiple fission. The second type of fission is the multiple fission. So the binary fission, do not forget, the binary fission divided into three different types: simple, transverse and longitudinal. The simple one is seen in case of amoeba, transverse is seen in case of paramecium, and longitudinal is seen in case of euglena. So now let's move on to the multiple fission, the second type of the binary, the second type of the fission. Clear? So now let's discuss about the multiple fission. So the multiple fission is also seen in case of amoeba. The binary fission as well as the multiple fission, both are seen in case of the amoeba. It is also seen in case of paramecium. Paramecium, okay? Paramecium or the malaria parasite. So in these two cases the multiple fission can be observed in the unfavorable condition. So the multiple fission occurs during unfavorable condition. Clear? Unfavorable condition. Why? During the unfavorable condition, the nucleus of the parent divide. The nucleus of parent or the parental nucleus divides into numerous small nucleus which are stored inside the body of the parent during unfavorable condition, and it is enclosed by a cyst, means it is protected with the help of the cyst. So a cyst protects the parent which have numerous nucleus. Clear? Means it is the parent is encysted during unfavorable condition. It is encysted during unfavorable condition, and the nucleus are preserved inside the body of the parent. Means in case of amoeba and paramecium, it is stored inside the body and the cyst protects it from the unfavorable condition, and when favorable condition arrives, at that time the cyst is removed and the parent divided into many numerous small pieces according as per the number of the nucleus. The nucleus already divided during unfavorable condition and stored in the body of the parent cell, and when favorable condition arises, the number of nucleus, as per the number of nucleus, the animal divides into smaller pieces and each animal develop into a daughter amoeba or daughter paramecium. So the structure will be like this. This is the cyst which protects the body, and inside the cyst at the center the animal lives and the different nucleus. The nucleus divides into numerous smaller nucleus, and then the cytoplasm also divides. So I can draw here like this. This is the nucleus and small amount of cytoplasm. present around these, and this is protected inside the cyst during unfavorable condition, and this is the outermost or the outer layer of the parent. So this occurs during unfavorable condition. When favorable condition appears, the cyst disappear and they come out, and each small nucleus and its small content of cytoplasm develop into new individual. Clear? So this is all about the fission, binary fission and multiple fission. Clear? Now let's go for the next type of the asexual reproduction, which is called budding. Okay, so let's talk about budding. So budding is found in case of a very well known organism, that is the hydra. It is also seen in case of yeast. Okay, these two organisms are very well known to us, hydra and yeast. So spore formation is before going to spore formation, let's discuss with diagrams about the budding. So if I will draw a rough diagram of the hydra, it will look like this. This is the hydra, which attached to a for a support, and it has numerous tentacles. It has numerous tentacles like this. Okay. So this hydra developed a bud here. This is a small outgrowth initially. This outgrowth gradually develop. This outgrowth become larger, and it also carry the different tentacles. So what are these structures? These are known as the tentacles, which help the animal to locomote, to travel from one place to another. So this bud developed gradually, and it finally detached from the mother's body and attached here to produce, which is formed, which becomes a new hydra. So this is the process of budding that is found in case of the hydra. It is very popular in hydra. It is also seen in case of yeast. So in yeast, the yeast body is like this. Okay, the yeast body develop an outgrowth like this, which is known as the bud, and it will gradually develop into a larger form and finally detach from the mother's body and becomes one independent part, which is known as the offspring. Okay, so this type of reproduction is seen in case of yeast and hydra, where buds appear from the buds. Initially the bud appears small enlargement structures, bulging structure appear in the body of the mother, and after its growth it detaches from the mother's body and become independent, and it will lead to a newly formed individual or an offspring. Clear? So this is the process of budding in case of the hydra and yeast. Next we will go for a different types of budding. These are seen externally. In both the cases, the bud appears externally. So outside the buds are seen. So this type of the budding is known as exogenous budding. And another type of budding is also there, which is called the endogenous. Okay, so that endogenous budding is also known with a new term, that is gemmules. gemmules or gemmule formation is also a type of asexual reproduction which is also called as endogenous budding. Okay, yeast and hydra has the exogenous budding, and in this case the budding is endogenous. In case of the gemmule formation or through the process which is called gemmulation or gemmule formation, which is seen in case of the spongilla. In case of spongilla is the type of sponge that is seen in water bodies, sponges which do their reproduction with the help of gemmule formation or gemmulation. Clear? So this is the process where, let's draw a diagram to show you. This is the place where the gemmules are preserved, and this is the structure which is known as the cyst. Again, as I have told you, that it has spikes in its outer membrane because it do not allow any organism or any atmospheric condition to penetrate inside. It is a very hard structure and it is having spikes on it. So this is how the gemmule are formed inside the sponges. Okay, so it has an opening which is known as the micropyle, and through this micropyle, during the favorable condition, the gemmules which are present inside it comes out and grow into a new sponge which develop into a new offspring during favorable condition, and they remain safe inside the gemmule during unfavorable condition. It has two membranes, one is the outer and this one is the inner membrane, and the structure this structure protects the gemmules of the sponges during the unfavorable condition. So please focus on this structure, how the gemmules in sponges are stored inside the cyst in a very safe way. Okay, so this is called internal budding or the endogenous budding or gemmulation or gemmule formation. This is also called internal budding. In case of hydra and yeast, the type of budding was exogenous or external. But here in case of the sponges, in case of spongilla, it is the endogenous or internal budding or gemmulation, where the asexual reproduction takes place by gemmule formation. Remember, gemmules are the structures which are present inside the cyst. Clear? So this is all about the gemmulation. Next we will move for spore formation. Okay, so this is all about budding. Two types, internal budding or endogenous, which is also called gemmule formation, where reproduction takes place with the help of gemmules. Example, spongilla, which is a type of sponge, live in water. Next, the external budding is called exogenous budding, found in case of hydra and yeast. Clear? So now we will move away from budding to the spore formation. Let's move on. So now let's discuss about the spore formation, how the different types of spores are formed in order to continue the generation. So spore formation. Clear? So in spore formation, we will first discuss about the zoospore. The zoospores, which are found in case of Chlamydomonas, which is found in case of Chlamydomonas, and the zoospores are motile. These are motile. They can move from one place to another with the help of their flagella. Remember, the flagella are the locomotory organ in case of zoospores, and the structure look like this. The structure of the zoospore look like this, having two flagellas on it. Okay, so this is how the zoospores look, and they locomote from one place to another with the help of their flagella, because they are motile as the flagella is present. Another example of spore formation is the conidia formation. So what is conidia? Conidia is non-motile. It is found in case of the penicillium. Okay, penicillium is the example of conidia, example of animal who reproduces by conidia formation. It is non-motile, and it travel from one place to another place with the help of the water current, and it can travel with some biotic and non-biotic agents, because it cannot move, and it forms, it is present in chain. So it forms chain like structure. Let me draw the structure of conidia. So in case of penicillium, the structure will be like this. These are the small pieces which are known as the conidia, and these conidia look like flagella or any locomotory organ, but they are not so, and this is the structure of penicillium, where the upper parts, these round small structures, are the conidia. Okay, so these are the conidia, and they detach from the penicillium, the organism, the body of the organism, and becomes a new organism. Clear? So this is about spore formation. Zoospore, remember these two types of spore formation: zoospore in Chlamydomonas, conidia in penicillium. This is zoospore, structure of zoospore. This is the structure of conidia. Clear? In your NCERT it is also there. So now let's discuss the last type of asexual reproduction, that is the fragmentation. Clear? So fragmentation is the type of asexual reproduction which is seen in case of Spirogyra. Spirogyra is a type of algae, and in Spirogyra it is a thread-like algae. This type of asexual reproduction, that is the fragmentation, is seen. So how the Spirogyra looks? The Spirogyra looks like this, having different cells on its body. These are different cells. So it is a thread-like structure, and these cells detach from one another and produce a new Spirogyra, or new offspring, or new individual. So this is how the fragmentation results into formation of offsprings in case of the Spirogyra, where the mode of asexual reproduction is fragmentation. It is divided into different fragments, and each fragment of its body develop into new individual or offsprings. Another example is the planaria. Another example is planaria. So in case of planaria also, what happens? The structure of planaria is like this. This is the structure of the planaria rock diagram. The body of the planaria divides into different pieces, and each pieces of the planaria's body, each fragment of its body is develop into a full organism. It develop into its offsprings. So here also the parent lives inside the body of the offspring. It will not die even after reproduction, but after reproduction the parent disappear. Here in this case, after reproduction the parents disappear and they are immortal. They remain alive inside the body of their offsprings. Clear? So now finally let us discuss about the advantages and disadvantages of the asexual reproduction. Although there is also vegetative propagation which is seen in case of plants, we will discuss that in my next class. So before ending this tutorial, this video tutorial will also teach us advantages and disadvantages of asexual reproduction. So what are the advantages? What are the benefits of asexual reproduction? Number one, a large number of individuals are produced in short period. Large number of offsprings produced in short time. In a very small short time, many individuals or many offsprings are produced, and the offsprings are genetically identical. Next point, they are genetically identical. Offsprings are genetically identical. Clear? So they look alike. As I have already told you, they look like clones of one another. Again, next function is that it helps the animal to overcome unfavorable condition. Help animal to overcome unfavorable condition. So during unfavorable condition, what happened? The offsprings are stored or shaped inside structures which are known as cyst. So unfavorable condition, they come out easily. What are the disadvantages? These are the advantages. What are the disadvantages? So in disadvantages, we will see that the offsprings are equal to its parent. They are identical. That is why they are genetically weak. They are genetically weak. Okay, so they are genetically weak. It is a very great disadvantage. Another is that they do not they cannot avoid the unfavorable condition. They have to deal with the unfavorable condition, and that is why they become less adaptable, because they have to fight with the environmental condition when they burn. Next, the final one, as the variation is absent, no variation in case of asexual reproduction, as the variation do not take place, it means it has no role in evolution. No variation occurs, so it do not play any important role in evolution. So no changes occur from parent to offspring. No variation takes place. So no role in evolution. So they do not play any role in evolution, in the process of evolution. So this is all about the advantages and disadvantages of the asexual reproduction, which we already discussed. The features of the asexual reproduction, the types of asexual reproduction starting from fission to fragmentation. Clear? So this is all about the asexual reproduction, and in my next video tutorial we will learn in detail about the vegetative propagation, which is seen in case of the plant.